So we got an 83 944 here that has a broken timing belt, and we're getting ready to take the head off to check to see if it has any bent valves. So hey guys, I haven't had a chance to make a video in a while. I've just been absolutely swamped with projects, and some of them you'll see in future videos. But yesterday I spent the day pulling this engine out of an 83 944, and this was going to be a video onto itself, but since the plans have changed, I thought I'd just go ahead and make a video on it, because now I'm in possession of this engine and I'm going to be breaking it apart to some degree. The timing belt broke on it, and what we were going to do was just put a newly rebuilt head on it and call it a day. But now the owner wants to put a 5.3 liter V8 in there, so that's what we're going to be doing in a future video. As for now, the engine is now mine, so I'm going to be messing around with it a little bit. Since this engine is in otherwise good shape, I'm going to be replacing the oil cooler housing and installing a one-piece OPRV, and then just making sure all the gaskets are good and then rebuilding it. Then I'm going to stick it in this red 924S because I'm going to have to pull the engine out anyway, since there isn't any clutch or pressure plate on this engine, and also it seems to be locked up. So here's a closer look at the 6R head that came off this 83 944. They're easily identified by the triangular shape around the spark plug hole here, and you can see it also has about 10 millimeters of valve clearance. Now anytime you remove any material from the chamber in the head, you're going to reduce compression ratio, so that's always something to keep in mind. And this is the 8R head that I'll be installing on this car. You can see there is only about 5 millimeters of clearance here, a little less actually, and it has a rectangular shape instead of a triangular shape here. So eventually I want to rebuild this head, and then I'll measure the volume of it and compare it against the volume of the later heads and see if there's actually a difference. Now, so far my measurements seem to indicate that this one would have a lower compression ratio than this head. So alright, while I have this early engine out here, I thought I would just give you a brief overview of some of the difference between the early and late engines. Some of this stuff tends to trip up people whenever they're trying to swap an early engine into their late car. So one of the first things you may notice about the early engines is that they have an AAV, or auxiliary air valve, instead of the ISV. If you're going to be putting an early engine into a later car, then you can just remove the AAV and use your ISV. And the next thing you may notice is this button style temp sensor. Now if you have an 85.5, you can just plug the spade terminal right onto it and it will work. That said, you will lose the functionality of your warning light. Unfortunately, if you would like to keep the warning light functionality, you can't just remove this sensor and put the later one in. They are two different sizes, so you would have to drill and tap the hole. Also, if you have an 87 in a later car, you're not going to have the oil level sensor, so that's something to consider. So alright guys, there are a lot more differences than that, and I'll be going into them in future videos, but for now, that's the ones that usually trip people up, and I hope that helps a little bit. As you can see, I also have the early starter here and the late starter here just for a comparison. And now I'm going to be showing you the footage from us pulling the head off the car and then pulling the engine out. It's very brief because I was doing this over at his house, so I didn't have the camera set up, but I hope you guys enjoy it. So here's a look at the car that we're working on. It's an 83 944, and what we're going to be doing here is just swapping the head today. I've got the head that I rebuilt in the other video, and we're just going to try and get this one off here and put this one on. It's alright, we got the cam tower off, and if we had any questions about there being bent valves, they are now answered. You can see that the exhaust valves are bent because they are not sitting as high as the intake valves. So alright, we're getting ready to remove the head now, and what you want to do is remove the bolts in the same sequence as you torque them down. So alright, we just got the head off, and you can see the cylinders are in great shape. So now we're just waiting on the head gasket set, and we're going to swap the new head on. So alright guys, change of plans. We're actually going to be pulling this motor and swapping in a V8. So alright, now we got the engine dropped. So alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.